Making headlines this hour, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Mohammed Asim attends a reception to celebrate the 2017 Spring Festival. Department of Judicial Administration says a large number of pending cases were concluded last year. And Iraqi Prime Minister says Iraq's oil is the property of Iraqis after US President Donald Trump argued that the US should have taken possession of the nation's crude reserves.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to News in English on TVM. With me, Hafiz Abdullah. And now the news in detail. Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Mohammed Asim attends the reception to celebrate the 2017 Spring Festival as the chief guest. While addressing the function held at Hotel Jan, Minister Asim conveyed warm greetings on behalf of President Abdullah Yamin and the people of Maldives to President Xi Jinping and the friendly people of China on this auspicious occasion. Minister Asim highlighted on the close relationship between Maldives and China, noting that this year will be a historical year for the two countries as both prepare to mark the 45th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. Earlier this month, the foreign minister traveled to China on an official visit where he met with his Chinese counterpart. Department of Judicial Administration DJA says a large number of pending cases were concluded last year. The department said it attaches high priority to conclude cases that have been pending for long periods of time. Assistant Legal Officer at DJA, Faisal Adam, said the number of cases pending for more than 1 year stood at 27% of all submitted cases at the beginning of 2016, while that number was cut down to 12% by the end of the year. The number of cases pending for more than 1 year fell from 1,948 in 2015 to 798 by the end of 2016. Department of Judicial Administration's statistics show the case clearance rate for all 198 courts across the country stood at 103%. According to DJA, the Supreme Court also undertook several measures to expedite trials and strengthen the justice system during 2016. Health Ministry holds a workshop to formulate the framework on implementing the targets set in the National Health Strategic Plan. The one-day workshop titled National Workshop on Sustainable Development Goals Core Health Indicators was held in Paradise Island Resort. The workshop aimed to formulate a framework to implement goals set in the 2016 to 2030 National Health Strategic Plan. The 15-year National Health Strategic Plan was drafted as part of the effort to improve and enhance the health sector as well as to bolster the work being done to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Today's workshop was held as part of the effort to formulate a framework on how the health plan can be implemented in order to achieve one of the 17 SDG goals, good health and well-being. It aimed to provide local authorities an opportunity to discuss how the National Health Strategic Plan could be implemented most conveniently. The Health Ministry said today's workshop would pave the way for local authorities to work together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Speaking at the opening of the workshop, State Minister at the Health Ministry Hussein Rashid said that government is undertaking numerous efforts to achieve the SDGs. Speaking at the ceremony, WHO representative to the Maldives Dr. Arvind Mathur said that even though a small nation, the Maldives has been making tremendous achievements in the health sector. He noted the numerous work conducted by the government in order to further improve the country's health sector.
Commit, as I said about political commitment, I see strong political commitment. I was very happy when I saw the decision of tobacco taxation. Little did I realize that very soon the Ministry of Health with the President Office would come out with the next decision that the sale of energy drinks and fizzy drink would be banned in schools in an all health facility. Now that's the commitment that we are looking into. That is something which we want to see actions in the true spirit. And then it has to be monitored. It has to be really looked into that it is sustained.
65 officials from the health sector participated in the workshop, which was facilitated by WHO Sierra Regional Advisor Dr. Mark Laundrie.
Minister of Islamic Affairs says that the government is continuously working to improve the services provided to the public. He made the statement at a function held at the Islamic Center to launch the online portal of the Maldives Hajj Corporation, MHC. The minister noted that the MHC has improved accessibility to its services over the past 3 years. Speaking in the function, Managing Director of MHC, Yamin Idris, noted that all the services provided by the company will be accessible via the online portal. He said that payments for Hajj and Umrah packages can also be made from the online portal titled Faheli. Over the past 3 years, 2,800 pilgrims have made travel and accommodation arrangements through the state-owned company. Ministry of Environment and Energy assigns a contractor to build a waste management center in Wadu Island of Gaftal Atoll. The project is contracted to Raisa Private Limited, and the agreement was signed by Minister of Environment and Energy Tariq Ibrahim and Managing Director of Raisa Private Limited Ahmad Hussain. The project, which cost over 1.1 million rupiah, is expected to be completed within 3 months. Department of National Heritage says that inclusion of the Maldives Coral Stone Mosque on the UNESCO World Heritage List will provide immense economical and social benefits for the country. One of the senior officials working on the project to list 6 Coral Stone Mosques as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Mohammad Mauroof Jamil, said they are positive that the bid to list the local mosque on the UNESCO World Heritage List would be successful.
The Maldives is a small island nation with a rich and historical culture left behind by the first settlers from India, Sri Lanka, East Africa, Arabia, Persia and the western parts of the Malay archipelago. The country boasts a cultural fusion with a history that extends to 300 BCE. The country practiced Buddhism until embracing Islam in 1153 CE. The talents of our ancestors are evident in the old buildings, traditional dresses, lacquer work and other such treasures passed down through generations. It is our responsibility to protect and preserve cultural structures built by our ancestors for the benefit of generations to come. One of the most evident proof of the creativity and talent of our ancestors are witnessed in the coral stone mosques. These ancient structures have unique designs and carvings which were done on the readily available material for construction back then. Coral stone and timber were the only available material which locals used for construction back then. Many of the mosques boast the creativity of locals who turned the simple buildings to historical structures with their unique designs. As part of this effort to preserve these national treasures, Department of National Heritage is working with United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO experts to include 6 coral stone mosques on the UNESCO World Heritage List. The mosques are Ihavandu Friday Mosque, Midu Friday Mosque, Male Friday Mosque, Male Eid Mosque, Femfushi Friday Mosque and Istu Old Mosque. Currently pending the official nominations, the mosques are placed in a tentative heritage list. Speaking about the work, senior official working on the project Mohammad Mauroof Jamil said without doubt that these mosques will be included on the World Heritage List. He said this would in turn provide many economical and social benefits for the country. He added that Maldives should not be advertised just as an island nation which boasts sun, sand and sea, but also have a rich culture for visitors to see. Last month, Department of Heritage held a workshop aimed at gathering experts to identify the unique features of coral stone mosques of the Maldives from the existing coral stone structures and architectural traditions in the Indian Ocean, thereby assisting the department to move forward in the World Heritage nomination. The department said its target is to hold comparative analysis of the coral stone mosques of Maldives with architectural traditions of the Indian Ocean and define the outstanding universal value of the Maldivian coral stone mosques. The Maldives has a total of 21 coral stone mosques in different islands across the country. The Maldives became a state party to the World Heritage Convention in 1984.
Minister of Health Abdullah Nasim Ibrahim says that facilities for prenatal screening and diagnosis of thalassemia will soon be established in the Maldives. Speaking to PSM News, Minister Nasim said that a prenatal diagnosis of fetal hemoglobinopathy will first be made available at Hurmale Hospital. He also said that the government is currently working to set up a laboratory in the Hurmale Hospital where a lot of services will be established. Noting that the government has improved the laboratories across the country, the minister said that thalassemia screening is available at 13 hospitals while blood transfusion service is available at 80 health facilities across the country. There are a total of 884 registered thalassemia patients in the country, with an average of 26 new patients recorded every year. In business, we have Thailand's central bank governor says U.S. protectionism could draw Asian countries closer together.
Thailand's central bank governor Virathai Santrapabov said a more protectionist United States under President Donald Trump could push Asian countries more surely towards regional trade alliances. In a Reuters interview, Virathai referred specifically to a grouping favored by China with the Trans-Pacific Partnership TPP, from which Trump withdrew in one of his earliest acts as president. He said the fact that TPP might not be moving forward might provide a better opportunity for some of the regional trade agreements, the likes of Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RECP. RECP is the Beijing-favored proposed free trade agreement which includes Southeast Asian nations, China, India, Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand, but not the United States. Given that Thailand's two biggest export markets are the United States and China, Southeast Asia's second biggest economy could quickly feel the impact of any fight over trade. Thailand is a big producer of electronical and other components which go into finished products designed for the United States and elsewhere. That makes gauging the impact of changes to trade rules even harder than for other countries. Thai exports rose in 2016 for the first time in 4 years, reaching 6.2% according to data published on Tuesday. The central bank's forecast is for no export growth in 2017. The governor said that the 2016 data gave reason for optimism, but there would be no change to the forecast yet, particularly in light of the global uncertainty.
Russia, Iran and Turkey agreed to bolster a shaky ceasefire in Syria at the end of the two-day talks in the Kazakh capital of Astana.
The three main sponsors of the latest negotiations announced in a final statement the creation of a trilateral monitoring mechanism to ensure full compliance with the truce, which has been in place since December 30th last year. This was the first time the Syrian government and the armed opposition sat together at the negotiation table since the start of the conflict nearly 6 years ago. Although the warring sides made no progress towards a broader settlement to end the crisis, both the UN envoy for Syria, Staffan de Mistura, and Bashar Jafari, head of the Syrian government delegation, acknowledged the significance of the talks. The statement also said the agreement in Astana paves the way for political negotiations expected in Geneva next month. Rather than reach a broader political settlement, the latest diplomatic effort focused on shoring up the fragile ceasefire brokered by Russia and Turkey in December. The truce greatly reduced the violence in Syria, but violations continued with the Syrian government and the opposition's extended blame. In a media briefing after the final statement, Syria's opposition's delegation said they are not party to the agreement and have many reservations. Analysts point out that a fast solution to the Syrian crisis is unlikely given the complicated situation and the huge difference between the Syrian government and the opposition.
Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi says Iraq's oil is the property of Iraqis after US President Donald Trump argued that the United States should have taken possession of the nation's crude reserves. In a speech to CIA officials on Saturday, Trump suggested the United States should have taken Iraq's oil in reimbursement for the 2003 invasion that put an end to Saddam Hussein's rule. Trump also suggested that taking Iraq's oil would have prevented IS from rising up by removing a source of the group's funding. The new US president has also sent messages offering to increase the level of assistance to Iraq, Abadi said, without giving details on the nature of the assistance. A US-led coalition is already providing a critical support to an offensive by Iraqi forces to take back Mosul, the largest city under control of IS. Abadi confirmed that government forces had taken complete control of eastern Mosul 100 days after the start of the US-backed campaign to retake the city from IS. Beefs up security ahead of the 68th Republic Day celebrations to prevent any untoward incidents.
Armed police and paramilitary personnel were deployed at strategic places across New Delhi. Special security arrangements have been put in place at Rajpath, a ceremonial boulevard in the capital, where thousands, including the Indian President and Prime Minister, will witness the Republic Day parade. A security blanket was spread across VIP and VVIP routes. Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, would be the chief guest at India's colourful Republic Day parade on Thursday. Reportedly, over 25,000 policemen have been deployed across the capital. Roads were barricaded and police personnel were seen checking vehicles. Meanwhile, India's northern Jammu and Kashmir state turned into a virtual fortress to thwart any militant attacks, which have seen a spike in the last few months. Inspector General Central Reserve Police Force Ravid Shahi said the threat perception this year was higher as compared to the previous years.
The threat perception is high.
Security personnel were seen deployed at critical areas in Srinagar, the summer capital of the state. Roads were barricaded and police personnel stepped up checking of vehicles and residents across important installations. A majestic military parade and display of Indian weaponry is held every year on January 26th to observe Republic Day, when the Indian Constitution was adopted and the country was declared a sovereign republic in 1950. Stretching from the President's Palace to the War Memorial of India Gate, the parade showcases the Indian Army's valour, military strength, tanks, fighter jets and colourful trails of tablocks from all Indian provinces.
German police say they apprehend 20 to 30 people, smugglers, every month on one single border crossing. German police said although the flow of migrants into Germany dropped considerably since the so-called Balkan route was closed last spring, 20 to 30 human traffickers are still apprehended at one single border crossing every month. German authorities praised the effectiveness of border checks such as the one on the A93 highway on the Australian-German border at Kiefersfelden. Police were seen pulling over cars, vans and trucks at the border crossing. Last spring, Germany and some other European Union members introduced temporary border checks to control or halt record flows of migrants fleeing conflicts in Syria, Iraq and elsewhere and traveling to Western Europe or the Balkans. Germany took in more than 1 million migrants in 2015. At least 13 people have been killed in the Somali capital, Mogadishu, when a suspected suicide car bomb rammed into the gate of a hotel shortly before a second bomb was detonated as security forces and journalists gathered at the scene. The second blast was caught by a Reuters camera, sending journalists running for cover. A number of journalists were injured by the bomb blast. Politicians often stay at the Dayah Hotel. Around a dozen were wounded and taken to hospital for treatment. The dead include civilians and members of the security forces. Somalia's militant group Al-Shabaab was behind the attack. Andalus radio station, which is close to the group, reported Al-Shabaab, which until 2011 controlled Mogadishu and much of Somalia, often launches a bomb and gun attacks in the capital, having it wants to topple the Western-backed government. Canadian Prime Minister welcomes the decision by US President Donald Trump to move ahead on the Keystone XL pipeline project.
At a news conference in Calgary on Tuesday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he has spoken twice to Trump since he has become president. He said he welcomed the news that the US would move ahead on the pipeline. Trump campaigned on promises to increase domestic energy production and before taking office indicated he supported and restarting the Keystone XL project, which was rejected in 2015 by then President Barack Obama. When asked about the future of the North American Free Trade Agreement, Trudeau said the relationship between Canada and the United States is particular and unique in regards to any two countries in the world. He noted the discussions are very positive, but he said they know that there is much to discussion and will continue to be engaged in a constructive, thoughtful way with the new administration as he follows through on his primary job, which is to ensure prosperity and security for Canadians. On Sunday, Trump said he planned to talk to begin renegotiating NAFTA, under which Canada and Mexico send most of their exports to the United States. Officials familiar with diplomatic contacts between Mexico and Canada says there has been no talk of creating a joint front against the United States over NAFTA on the grounds that such a move would raise tensions and be counterproductive. Trudeau said no date has been set for him to meet with his American counterpart.
US President Donald Trump says he will build the wall, with Mexico threatens to send in the feds if Chicago crime does not improve, and once again claims CNN is fake news.
US President Donald Trump vowed on Tuesday to bring federal intervention to bear in Chicago to quell the carnage of gun violence plaguing America's third largest city unless local officials can curb the murder rate on their own. Trump appeared to be seized in a story published by the Chicago Tribune on Monday, reporting at least 228 people shot in the city so far this year, up 5.5% from the same period last January, with at least 42 homicides to date, an increase of 23.5%. In the nighttime series of tweets that were only spaced minutes apart, President Trump tweeted that a big day was planned on national security on Wednesday. Trump is expected to order a multi-month ban on allowing refugees into the United States, except for religious minorities escaping persecution, until more aggressive vetting is in place. Trump is expected to sign executive orders starting on Wednesday that include a temporary ban on most refugees and a suspension of visas for citizens of Syria and 6 other Middle Eastern and African countries, according to several congressional aides and immigration experts briefed on the matter. In addition to the 2 other tweets, President Trump slammed CNN as fake news after the rating numbers came in following the inauguration coverage. Trump sparred with a CNN reporter during his first news conference since being elected president, accusing the news organization of reporting fake news.
In sports, we have former England and Manchester United striker Michael Owen lavishes praise on his former teammate Wayne Rooney, who became United's most prolific goal scorer on Saturday. Owen, who played alongside the now 30-year-old Wayne Rooney, first broke into the England team at the 2004 Euros in Portugal and also partnered him up front during a brief tenure at Old Trafford, said Rooney's achievements were even more special because of the stinging criticism criticism he has had to endure. After netting his record-breaking 250th goal for the Premier League Giants against Stoke City, Rooney's achievement was lauded by Bobby Charlton, the player whose landmark he had surpassed. Rooney also broke Charlton's England scoring record of 49 goals in 2016. Surprises Amy Adams, Martin Scorsese, Clint Eastwood, Tom Hanks and others are edged out at Oscar nominations.
This is one of 12.
Mel Gibson climbed back into Hollywood's good graces, while Amy Adams and Martin Scorsese were edged out at Tuesday's Oscar nominations, a list that served up some notable surprises. Whimsical musical romance La La Land, the award's frontrunner about two struggling artists who fall in love in Los Angeles, led the race with 14 nominations, including Best Actor, Actress, Director and Picture. Among the most notable absences was Oscar-winning filmmaker Scorsese's new passion project, Silence, which stars Andrew Garfield. The story of two missionaries in 17th century Japan missed out on all the major categories and only landed a nod for cinematography. Garfield instead was nominated for the Best Actor for his role in war drama Hacksaw Ridge, whose 6 nods, including the Best Picture and Director for Gibson, are an apparent welcome back a decade after his drunken anti-Semitic rant made him a Hollywood outcast. In the acting categories, awards favourite Amy Adams missed out on a Best Actress nod for her role as a linguist in sci-fi alien film Arrival, which has earned her critical praise. Also missing from the list was Annette Bening for her star turn as a free-spirited single mom in the 1970s in 20th Century Women, and Tara G.P. Hansen for her role as a mathematician in the box office hit Hidden Figures. Instead, French actress Isabelle Huppert scored a nod for Elle, and Ireland's Ruth Negga was recognized for her breakout role in Loving. Notable snubs on the director side included Tom Ford for his gritty thriller Nocturnal Animals and veteran filmmaker Clint Eastwood for the true life story of Sully, starring Tom Hanks.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a very pleasant night ahead.